Hello and welcome to the fifth iteration of this scraping project that we were doing last time. So up until video 4, we had scraped the officers and the founders of the companies from each website. And I promised that, okay, I'll probably create a function that will do the same kind of thing for all the other attributes. So let's see how we can build a function. But before that, let's go ahead and run this whole code again. So we have the most fresh data available for us. So I'll just do restart and run all. So all the pieces of code are run with it. And here, as you see, we have the founders and the officers that we're going to be scraping as part of this, and we are going to get the latest information from seedinvest.com for each of the startups that are in there. So there might have been some startups which have added, or some which have been taken out of the website already. So that is that. Now, while this code is running, and it's right now at the fifth company, sixth company of the 13, we can start probably building our function in the meanwhile. So let's write a comment. Let's build, or let's create a scraper function that can take taken the taken arguments uh, such as section ID and section ID and the tag and the web links. So I'll walk you through what we are trying to do here. So if we look at the previous function, or the previous loop that we had written over here. So if we just want to take this as our loop, let's say we just copy this whole thing and paste it over here, and we want to create a function out of this. So let's say def is for the defining a function. So let's call it the scraper function. And what would be the arguments that would go into this? So right off the bat, first of all, okay, so we got everything scraped. That is the founders have been scraped. Now the officers are getting scraped. So this officers list, and I'm going to indent this in one level, so we are going to be able to get this as the output. And let's call this, instead of the list of officers, let's call it the final, or the scraped list, or let's call it the scraped list, probably scraped list. That is the list that we want to get as an output. And right off the bat, we see that we have web links as one of the inputs. That was the links that we had created earlier, or scraped earlier for each of the startups from within seedinvest.com/offerings. That was the main URL that we had used. And here we also have the list of officers now. Okay, so moving forward, we have web links that we have taken as an input. So instead of web links, let's call it links list, so that we are aware that it's a list of links list. And instead of web link, let's call it for link in links list. And then here we'll have to change it from web link to link. And then we will look at the soup, that is beautiful soup. We are creating a response, so we are saying request.get link, so it's going to go inside of each that link. And then the response.content will be basically getting the content of that of the web page, or that particular link. And then we are going to throw it into the soup variable, so we'll have a soup object. Now this list is an intermediate list. So the scraped list is going to be the list of lists. And so in while we are going into each company, we want to create a list within that company. So we can call this the interim list. And instead of members, so what we are trying to do here is we are going into each page, and then we are going into the section, and we are determining the section by the ID. So instead of team, we can in the ID, in the place of an ID, we can say section ID, and we can take this as one of the arguments for this purpose. So we can when we are creating, when we are running the function, we want to give some arguments. One is the links list, the next is going to be the section ID, and then if we look at over here, so let's change this members and give it more of a more generic name. So let's just probably call it let's just call it I for simplicity's sake, and instead of H5, let's call this J, and members has been replaced with I, so I, and then the H5 is going to be the tag. So let's use a variable here and call it tag, and the tag is going to be another input. So whenever we are using this function, we want to give it certain inputs. We want to tell that there's the list of links that you're going to scrape from. There's the section ID for the section that you have to go into, and then these are the tags that you that I want you to get me from that particular section. So so we replace that with tag, and then if h5.text, so instead of h5 we will say it's j.text. So we have j over here, so we'll say if j.text not in, instead of founder, we're going to call this interim list. So we're going to check in the interim list. If that j.text is not in the interim list, then j.text, and this is officer, so we're going to call it interim list, and then interim list again, and instead of officers, we will call this scraped list, and we want to return the scraped list. All right, so okay, so to walk you through each of the steps in this function, and let's first probably just run this and check if it is even working. Okay, so we forgot the colon over here, so that's the reason why we got invalid syntax. So let's store the function, and then let's call scraper function, and let's call in something that we are aware of already. So we had in the while we were trying to create the list of founders, we had used founders as the section ID and h5 as the tag, and web links, remember, that's the list of links that we have. So we can give web links, so it takes 3 arguments. So we have defined links list, section ID, and tag. So web links is our links list, and then section ID is founders. So we, please remember, it has to be in the form of a string, and then the tag within that was, so founders was the ID and h5 tags. So we have h5 tags in there. So let's call this h5, and what we want to see here, and we are just checking this function out. So what we want to see here is a similar list as the one that we've got here in the founders, right? So if that is not what we get, then there's something wrong, and we might need to check it out at that point of time. So I'll run this function. Let's just wait it out. It's going to take 13 iterations, and we should hopefully get the same list as we had for the founders. And I'm going to output the founders list over here in the bottom, just so we are able to compare that with the scraper function, the list that we are getting from the scraper function. And then we can go back and always replace all the lists that we had created using custom code, rather we can just use the function. So instead of using the code over here for offices, we can just use this function, hopefully. That is the hope. And let's just see what happens now. All right, there you go. So we have the list of both. One is the list that we got from the scraper function that we just created over here. And in the bottom, I've just output the founders list that we had created earlier using the custom piece of code. And we can see that it's pretty much the same, right? So it seems like we are getting the right output, and that is the desired output. So I think we have done the same thing, and we now have the function that we needed to create for this purpose. So now I can just go ahead and instead of keeping this just running like this, I can say founders is equal to this, and then I can say officers. I can create a officers list by just invoking the scraper function. Again, we'll use scraper function web links, and officers was I think team, if I'm not wrong. So let's go back here. The section ID for officers is team. So let's use team, and it's still the h5 tag. So let's use team. What happened there? So we have this, we have this, we have this. Yeah. So let's go back to officers, and team is the section ID, and we have h5 tags, and there you go. I mean, we just created a function. I'm going to delete this, and I'm also going to delete the custom code that we had written for because we don't want to write so much code for everything that we have in there. So I'm going to remove the founders also. And let's see, let's now go to seedinvest.com and check out what else we can actually get in the similar fashion. So I'm going to pick one of these websites. Let's go to My Tequin's Barbecue. It's just an example. It doesn't matter which one we look at. And I'll just okay, I'm going to view page source. Oh boy. Okay. Is there an inspect element somewhere? Okay. Inspect. Let's do inspect instead of page source. Okay. So we have a section ID as about. We have section ID as product. We have section ID as press. And there's a whole bunch of sections. We have term sheet. We have investor perks. So I think investor perks was one of the attributes that we were supposed to scrape. Let's see. Investor perks. Is there perks somewhere? Is anyone able to see perks? So let's search for it. Oops. So we have issuer, founders, and so we got this as founders and officers. And then we have to get the titles of those founders and officers. So let's see, where does investment perks? Is there perks somewhere? Okay, investment perks. So let's do that. Let's go into investment perks, and let's search for where is this investor perks. It's right here. Okay, so if we inspect this element, we get this whole thing, and then we have the section header. So what are the investment perks? If we see, these are all the investment perks. So essentially we have to get everything, and that is within the content. Let's look at the peep into the content, and we have a bunch of paragraphs in here, right? So we have the first paragraph which says invest by 228, and that is right here. Let's go to the second paragraph which says, and there is a there's a B tag inside of the uh, P tag. So we have to go and append each B tag from inside the P tag if that is the way it is laid out. So we have to just get a sense of the how it is laid out in here. And there's a UL unordered list as well. Let's see what that is. And then there's lines. Okay, so this seems to be more complicated than what we could have done with just the section ID and tag. Probably we'll have to write multiple tags, write a function which can go tag inside of a tag and probably go down 3 levels if that is the case that we have to capture. So there's UL, and we can probably write a OR loop. So let's see. You have UL inside of that. There's a so essentially the P tags seem to be more like headings, are they? So there's a unordered list, of course, that shows with the bullet points that we have in there, and the P tags are like okay. So inside the P tag, the B tag is like the heading, and then we have the unordered list. Inside of the unordered list, there's a li tag. So we can probably just get the B tag and then look for any li tags, the line tags, and then again go into a P tag. There's a B tag there, and then there's a unordered list. So let's see, let's check this out. Okay, so we can probably try to write a function for this. Let's do that. It's going to be interesting. So our regular scraper function might not work for this scenario, and let's see what it will get if we use the section ID as I think it was investor perks, investor underscore perks. Okay, let's do that. Investor underscore perks, and then there's a B tag, or it can be a P tag. Okay, so what we can probably do is, let's just do the B tags. Okay, and let's run this first to see what we get. All right, it's going into our scraper function. It's going to get all the B tags within the investor perks, and then probably we can write another function which will get all the li tags, or I'm probably going a little ahead of myself right now. So let's say in scraper function and then web links, investor perks, and then the list, the li tags, or do we do unordered list? We can do the unordered list. In that way, we'll have just as many number as B tags that we should have. Or yeah, I think that should work. Let's see. I'm going to run this also while the one above is running, and then we can go back to the website and check it out also. Okay, so here we got a list. All investors will receive. So which one are we looking at? We're looking at Mighty Quinn's barbecue. So let's go to Mighty Quinn's barbecue. What number is this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth list is what we are looking for. So the zeroth list, first list, second list, third list, fourth list, and there's the fifth list. There's Mighty Quinn's barbecue, right? So let's go into the website. We have investment by 2/28/2020, right? We have investment between 1,500 to 2,999. We have investment between 3,000 and 9,999. Investment between 10,000 and 24,999. All right, and then there's So the maximum is investment of 100,000 and above, and that is what we got. So let's see what we get from the B tags that we got earlier. I mean below. So there's the first one, then there's the second one, third one, fourth one, and there's the fifth one. There's the Mighty Quince barbecue. Oops. So the Mighty Quince barbecue has got a lot of stuff. They're giving a lot of incentives. So if you see the first one here, it says $150 in Mighty Quince app credit. If we look at the first one, let's see. Let's just do this comparison. Okay, $150 in Mighty Quince app credit. Okay, so that is the first item that we got. Then we have the second item, which is $300 in Mighty Quince app credit access. $300 in Mighty Quince app credit, and then access is the next line item. So okay, so it's combining everything. If we do it by the unordered list, it's going to combine everything within that list. So what it's doing is it's not giving us individual lines. So we want individual lines. So let's probably, instead of UL, let's give LI and see how that works. And I'm not sure it would give us the best result. And probably we'll have to give a list of items, list of tags into the scraper function, so it can kind of iterate over that individual tags. So let's see what the output of this would be. My wife just made some amazing tea. All right. Oops, it's taking a long time. Now there's a new computer that I just bought. It's a MacBook Pro 16, the latest one, with an i9 processor, and it's struggling over here. All right, anyway. So what do we have here? We are getting a huge list for this. So if you look at this thing, what it's doing is we have the first item, then we have the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So it's getting all the line items. So we don't want it that way. The way we want it is if there's a tag inside of a tag, then it has to get both of them. So we can at least probably use the zip function to align them together. So let's go back to our function. Okay, here's our function, and this is where we are going to improvise our function. So what we're saying is we're going to the section that is investor perks in our current case, and then inside of investor perks, if you find a p tag, go into that p tag, right? And I think that is what we were searching for, we were actually doing b tag, but instead of b tag, let's do p tag, and then inside of the p tag, go into the b tag. That's what we should do. And similarly, what we'll do is if you find a UL tag, then inside of that, find a LI tag. So UL stands for unordered list, LI stands for list item, right? So that's the actual bullet point that we have in there. So, okay. So tag, instead of tag, it can be a tag list, right? So, or we can call it tags list. Okay. So inside of this tags list, so it's going to find the tags list in which it'll have two tags. Let's say in that list, it's going to have two tags. And then, or if it has only one tag, then it has only one tag. Whatever the number of items inside of that list, we want to iterate over that, right? So we're going to get the first list of tags, and then for tags in I dot find all, okay, and then for j in tags dot find all, and then we're gonna give tag. We're gonna give tag inside of that. We're gonna give tags. Yeah, we're gonna give tags. And then let's move this over a little. Oops, what happened there? Okay, let's move this over a little. Give that an indent. So for j in tags dot find all, tags. J in tags dot find all. No, it's not tags dot find all. It's for j in tags, right? It's not tags dot find all. It's j in tags. Okay, and then for okay, so then we're going to create a soup using the j. So j dot find all. Okay, for k in j dot find all, and then we're going to say so we are taking, let's say there are two tags in the first tags list. There are two tags, let's say that's p and b. So we are going to get the list of tags, and we cannot do find all over here because it's going to be I dot find all tags list. No, that's not going to work. It's for tag. Yeah, for tag in tags list. Yes. And then for j in tag dot find all, and we're going to find all. I dot find all tag. So now we're saying within I, that is the new soup, that is the little soup, that's the section. And then within that, first of all, get the tags list, and then within that I, that is the smaller soup, find all the tag. So each tag. And then for j in I dot find all tag, what we're going to do is we'll delete this line, delete that line. If j dot text not an interim list, then interim list dot append j dot text, and then we're going to get this whole list and then append it to the scraped list, and we're going to have to test this out. I'm not sure how it's going to work. Let's see. And I'm going to first of all try it with the founders list, right? So because that's the simplest way. We first need to be able to get this. We need to be able to get this, and in this case there's a list, so we'll have to put it into a list. Okay, so even though it's only one tag that we have in there, so let's put that into a list and then run it. Alright, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I hope it's gonna work. And I'm gonna enjoy my tea in the meanwhile. And a pretzel. voila, it worked for founders, right? Now let's try it for investor perks, and in this case we're going to give it a list that's going to be like P and then B. All right, and let's run this and just keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully it should work. And similarly, scraper function, web links, investor perks, and then the list was UL, that is unordered list, and LI. Let's run that in parallel, or it's actually a sequence, and hope for the best results. There you go. It says complementary 6 bottle. Okay, let's go down to the fifth one. That is our one, two, three, four, and five. Where's five? Yeah, there's five. So if you see here, we got the P tags and the B tags inside of the P tags. So how many items do we have? It is where is this coming from? It is advised that you consult a tax professional to fully understand any potential tax implications of receiving investor perks before making an investment. And let's see where that is over here. Okay, so it's right here. And that is also inside of a B tag. It's okay. And then let's go into the unordered list and the list item that we're going to get in there. All right. So do we have a similar number of items is what I'm interested in knowing. And what I'm going to do is investor perks 1 is going to be this, and there's going to be investor perks 2, and then let's say investor perks 1, and then we'll pull the fifth item. Let's say for IJ in zip. Investor perks 2, and the fifth item print I, J, and let's give it a colon in between. All right. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but can't really help it. And that who was shouting, if you're able to hear him, that was my son asking for something to eat. Okay. All right. So what we want to see here is there's the first paragraph item, right? Let's go to, okay. So this item, it doesn't have a if it doesn't have one, then it should not assign anything to it, but it did, which sucks. There's the second item, and it has got the $300 thing. The third item is supposed to be, and then the $300 Mighty Quins, and then access to all. So here's where it's actually not working properly. And where is this $1,000? That's for the third or the fourth item. So it's kind of like you see, it's kind of messed up right now. I don't like the way it is laid out at this point of time. So what I'm going to do is I'll prepare the function and not bore you to death with this whole thing, and then append that video to this video in continuation so you don't get thrown here and there. And I apologize, I didn't prepare for this initially. I just thought I'll dive into it and directly do it for you, but it seems like it's going to be a little more work than that. So just give me a little bit of time and I will come up with the function and then show it to you so you can easily walk through the steps that you would need to take for this. So with that, I want to conclude this video. That is the fifth video, and I thought that I would end the series with the fifth video, and then basically once the function is created, you would be able to do the same thing for all the other attributes, and then export everything into a pandas data frame and move it into a Excel or a CSV format so that you can just push it out. But it seems like it's going to take one more video after this, and I'll prepare for it now and then show it to you in the subsequent video, so that I don't eat much of your time. So thank you very much for joining me again, and thanks a lot for your patience again. If you like this video and like the way I'm trying to walk through this whole process, because I'm trying to put in my thought, I didn't intend to come in totally prepared. You will see what a developer or what analysis actually looks like in as part of my videos. I don't want to just come with a ton of expertise and then show it to you that hey, I'm able to do it. So because I don't want you to get the false impression that it's common for people to just write the code right immediately. They will not be able to write it immediately. There's a lot of iterations that you will have to go through whenever you're doing any of this kind of an analysis, and it takes a little bit of time for even for a seasoned developer. So that is the reason why I wanted to walk you through the whole process, and I hope you're liking it. But please do comment with your comments whether you liked it, not. Subscribe to my channel and support me in making more of these videos that I'm going to bring to you in future as well. Thanks a lot, and there's Kamesh here signing off on behalf of DataTrain. Thank you.